All right, on this episode of the LPDS, we get into some sports updates, maybe some LPDS universe updates. I don't remember. Stay tuned and find out. And I have I don't know if it's a proposition, but I put out an damn it, what is the word I'm thinking of? Something for the celebrity ladies, the famous women. I put it just go to the junction. All right, all that plus a cage fact coming up right now. All right, Jabronis, we're back. Welcome back to the Libretti Podcast Diary Show. I'm your host, Libretti, the show that talks about nothing but tries to find the lessons in everything, and we have a good time doing it. Hope everybody had a good week. How about that intro? Look, I could have redone that intro 15 times until it sounded perfect. But that's just not what we do here. We're real. And sometimes stuff's not perfect. But anyway, hope everybody had a good week. Mine was very productive. Stringing along some productive days, productive weeks, which I like to see. You know, when you're in the trenches like this, those are the wins. The little production value, the little progress, moving the ball forward, keeping digging and digging and digging. Those are the wins that I latch onto that keep me going. The big wins are, the obvious ones. Spearhead becomes a juggernaut. I'm sleeping on a mattress made of cash. All the ladies love me. All the fellas want to be me. That'll all come. You can't build a skyscraper in one day. Okay? You have to start way down in the basement and really build that foundation up before you can even get to ground level to where people see you and notice you. And then you build the towers. So that's where we're at. I was this close, by the way. If you're watching on YouTube land, I was this close to making a 9/11 joke, but I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it. I wanted to do it, but I chose not to do it. I guess that's what I should say. You know me. In my brain, in this crazy brain of mine, there's always a joke somewhere. The joke is always there. There's always something to laugh at. For better or worse, I find the humor in everything. I found the jokes in everything. But sometimes you gotta keep the jokes in the crazy noggin. But growth here. This is what I consider to be growth is at least being able to admit the joke, I'm not a perfect person. The joke was absolutely there and ready to fire off. But I held back. Anyway, a lot of progress going on. Very happy about that. I'm still working. I gotta move my ass on this a little bit. I was still working on editing some coaching calls I had to put out on the Libretti Leadership Lab. So if you're looking for that, if you're interested in the leadership side of life, that's coming to the Libretti Leadership Lab podcast and YouTube page. I just have to. That's been again a little bit lower of a priority while I work some of the other things to move the needle for Spearhead. So I'm going to put that out there. Um, I'm. It's very tough lining up these interviews with people because I'm trying to get some in-person interviews, and right now the LPDS studio is not really conducive of highly professional in-person interviews for the Libretti Leadership Lab. So um, we're trying to coordinate locations to be able to do the in-person that is good for both parties. Because I'm really trying to minimize the Zoom interviews if I can, because it just doesn't have the same feel and same connection, especially if the other party doesn't have a good internet connection or a good audio setup. I can't even help them with that on this end. And I can only do so much on the editing side to make that come out more clearly and more crisp. So we're trying to avoid the Zoom interviews, but they're inevitable, unfortunately. Again, good or it's a pro and a con. Spearhead is going to be a worldwide enterprise. So we're going to be able to talk to people and work with people and interview people all over the place. So there's going to be the Zoom interviews. And as the empire grows, so will the capabilities and technology to be able to support a better environment for those virtual interviews. So we'll get there. It'll happen. I'm not too worried about it. Again, it's a slow digging process in the trenches, but we'll get there. Anyway, I don't really have a lot going on to talk about this past week. Yanks are out. So I do have a couple Yankees things, but first I want to mention something. If you're a baseball fan at all, I have to bring attention to something that that occurred in one of the playoff games. And it's something that I've probably talked about before. It's one of the reasons why I've been so critical, I guess, and disheartened with the type of baseball being played in the pros these days. And you can call me the old crotchety old man, and the game is different. And you can argue, baseball players and fans can argue that the game generally hasn't, from let's go back to the 60s on to the early 2000s, the game didn't change that much. If you think about it, if you look back historically, the skills changed. Hitters got stronger, pitchers threw harder for the most part. That changed, but the actual game itself hasn't changed much at all until the last several years, where the analytics became the main focus of how to create a team and play the game. And a lot of the stuff I don't like. The changes that have been made. I'm not talking about so much the rule changes like the pitch clock and stuff. We can argue that all day long, back and forth. I'm talking about how teams approach the games now, and the game of baseball in general has changed, in my opinion, for the worse. I think the pendulum will eventually swing back, but this is one of the things that I saw in this game. Actually, the Wet Cat saw it. I wasn't watching the game, and I watched a clip of it that disheartens me, and it speaks to this new era of baseball that I think needs to end soon. But it was the Brewers versus the Dodgers, National League Championship Series. By the way, the Dodgers smoked them. Wasn't even a competitive series. And the only time there was a level of competition from the Brewers at all was in this particular situation. Ninth inning, bases were loaded for the Brewers. The Brewers are batting, the Dodgers are pitching. Bases loaded, they're down 1 run, and the batter has 2 strikes on him. And the pitcher throws a fastball way inside. Belt high, even lower, probably thigh high, hip high, leg high. Way inside, and the batter ran away from it. Next pitch, swings at one at his eyeball, strikes out, game over. Brewers lose. Changes the whole dynamic of the series. Now, to try to give the benefit of the doubt, pitcher's throwing hard, 95 plus. Nobody likes to get hit with a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. Don't have a lot of time to react to 95 plus on the radar gun. That's where the benefit of the doubt ends, folks. Because A, it was not head-high pitch. It was not in the danger zone of life-threatening injury if you got hit by this pitch. And furthermore, if he gets hit by the pitch, he goes to first, the run scores, it's a tie ball game with the bases loaded still. A tie ball game with the bases loaded still in a playoff game. In the National League Championship Series, the pennant. The winner of this goes to the World Series. That's what you're playing. That's what you're supposed to be playing for. The World Series. And this guy, because his brain and his mind and all his baseball, everything has been so indoctrinated to what I would consider to be pussy baseball in this day and age, that his instinct was to run away, avoid getting hit. And in the regular season, that's more, every manager will say that's fine. Get out of the whatever. You don't want to get hit. Game doesn't mean anything. That's how they approach most of the regular season games. We have 162 games. So we'll figure it out. The analytics says we'll figure it out by 162. So don't get hit. Avoid it. Try to get your swings in. But he's so brainwashed into this weak style of baseball that his first thought, his first movement, his first body movement was run away. Don't get hit in your thigh, the meaty part of your body that will do minimal damage. You might get a little bit of an owie. I've been hit by 95 before. It's not fun. It's no picnic. But guess what? A, I didn't die. B, I got on base. And I'm not going to be labeled as a giant pussy for that anyway. There's probably plenty of other things you can label me that for. But there was just seemingly no thought whatsoever about the implications of avoiding, of getting out of the way of that pitch. Now, again, I know it happens in a split second. But growing up through high school and even college, we were taught to turn your back. Don't, unless it's going to be at your head, then you get out of the way. You drop down, get out of the way. Don't get hit in the head, obviously. But everything else, stay in the box, turn your back towards the catcher, and wear it. And that does two things, especially now with the rules change from the umpires, where if they think you're leaning into a pitch to purposely get hit, they'll call that a strike. This method allows, it foregoes that. It prevents that from happening. The ump will never tell you, you're purposely getting hit, because you're just turning towards the catcher. You're staying in the box in your position where you're allowed to be, in the batter's box. You're not leaning over the line, over the plate. You're not getting hit by a strike. You're in the batter's box. Turn your back, drop your bat head down so the ball doesn't accidentally hit the barrel or anything, and wear it in the backside. Back, ass, hammies, calves. All the meaty parts of your body. And we were taught that for any game. In high school, that was an actual approach to hitting sometimes. Especially me as a pinch hitter, that was basically my role throughout my entire career. Go in randomly throughout a game. It was, hey, get it up and in on the box, but still be in the box and try to get hit by a pitch. That way we have a base runner and the game's not over. We're not going to get the third out. If you get hit, you're on base. You can't get out if you get hit. Can't strike out and ruin it for us if you're getting hit by pitches. If you don't swing and get hit, you're not a liability anymore. So it just boggles my mind that in playoff baseball, it's a playoff. What are you there for? It's not a regular season game. It's not an exhibition. That's why you play the game. That's the whole purpose, to get to the playoffs, to fight for a World Series win. And you had the opportunity to make it a series. It was only 1-0 series lead by the Dodgers at that point. And it's shit like that really angers me about the game these days, because it wasn't even a forethought for that guy until after the fact, when somebody had to tell him, hey, dude, if you got hit, we would have tied the ball game in a National League Championship Series game. Somebody had to tell him that after the fact. That's crazy to me. As a professional ball player, that's crazy to me. I'm not the professional, but if you're a professional ball player and it doesn't dawn on you during your at-bat, bases loaded, last inning, you need to score at least one run to tie it. The mindset should automatically, while you're walking up to the plate, the mindset is, get to the next guy. Get on base any way you can. Doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a home run. It doesn't have to be a base hit. Just get on base. If you safely get to first base, you tie the game. It's as simple as that. And for a professional ball player to not even think about that is crazy to me. Now, maybe he did, and it was, again, his instincts fought off logic. I don't know. I didn't talk to the guy. I don't know the guy. I feel a little bit bad because he's definitely getting ragged on, like the Phillies pitcher who threw the ball in the shitter and lost the series for them against the Dodgers, the series prior. But I also don't feel that bad, because I played enough baseball. I've been on enough baseball teams and have been in the world of baseball long enough and in a competitive environment enough to know that unless coaches are not teaching that anymore, maybe they're not. Maybe that's the thing. So unless they're not teaching that at all, there is no reason why he shouldn't have been thinking, get on base any way you can. Get to the next guy. Because if you get to the next guy, that means you didn't get out. And that means nobody else got out, because there's 2 outs. Get to the next guy. That means you scored a run, the game is tied, and now somebody else has another chance. That's all you care about in those situations. Get to the next guy. If you could do that, the game continues, and you give yourself the chance to, you don't eliminate yourself from the opportunity to win a ball game in the playoffs. It was just such a beta bitch boy move, and that's what angers me about the game of baseball these days, is that that's par for the course. Why is that par for the course? How did that happen? Now, maybe it's happened in the past. I certainly don't remember. I've never seen that before in playoff baseball. I'm sure there's been enough games and situations in baseball over the last several hundred years that I'm sure statistically it's had to have happened, but not often. And if anything, more so nowadays because the baseball intelligence quotients have gone down significantly. Now, instead of being series tied 1-1, they go down 2-0 in the series, and that's it. That's a wrap. They got swept. The other games I don't remember were even remotely close. The next game, Yamamoto pitched 9 inning, 3-hitter. I think he gave up 1 run. And then the next game after that, Ohtani, six and a 2/3 inning, 6 and a third inning, 10 strikeouts, 2 hits, 3 hits, no walks, no runs, and he also hit 3 home runs as well. Arguably the best single day performance of a player in baseball. Now it's a different topic altogether with Ohtani. He's definitely great, but I wonder how many ball players could have been Ohtani's if they were more open to two-way players. There were a ton of players I remember in the 90s and even early 2000s that could do both. There were many pitchers out there who can swing the lumber pretty damn well, just were either on teams in the American League or because they were pitchers in the National League, they barely got any at bats. And there was plenty of fielders out there that could also pitch that they just didn't. Think about growing up. If you play baseball growing up and you play long enough, everybody is a two-way player. There's so many of them. The number 1 and 2 pitchers on my high school team, my senior year, were two-way players. Nick Christiani played center field when he wasn't pitching. And I think he led our team in home runs that year. And then he diced people up. He was a number 1 pitcher. Played at Vanderbilt after with Dave Price. Have some good stories from him there. And then our number 2 pitcher was Rick Porcello, who won a Cy Young in the pros. And when he wasn't pitching, he was playing shortstop. The two-way players stop once you get drafted. Now probably in college, more so because they specialize more now. But that's a different story. I'm digressing. That's a different story with Ohtani. He's great for what he is and what he's doing, but I promise you there are plenty of other players that could have done this. And I guess maybe he's reopened the door to allow more of this to happen, hopefully. But long story short, absolute bonehead move, cost them the series arguably. At least cost them, being in this. They weren't even in the series after that. Total domination. And you have to wonder what the series would look like 1-1 versus 2-0. There's the intangible analytics out there that people don't pay attention to anymore, and it's how you feel in certain situations throughout the season and especially in the playoffs. If you're going back to your home field, tied 1-1 in a series, that's a lot different than going back down 2-0 in a series to the best team in the league. That has to be that analytic has to be accounted for, and it never is. Anyway, that's all I got to say about that. While we're on the topic of baseball, I wish this didn't happen. Folks, I wish this didn't happen. Every other part of the week has been great. But of course, the Yankees had to have press conferences and get on radio shows and flap their gills and just do whatever they could to ruin our good week at the LPDS universe. So they held these press conferences, Cashin and Boone. No, there's no chance either of them are leaving anytime soon. So that's great. We have another year of Boone out there, just him and his analytics geeks picking their lineups based on numbers that don't actually create a good playoff team, a competitive team. They're a regular season team, home run derby team. And then you got Cashman out there doing exactly what he did last year. And this is what I was worried about, and this is what I continue to worry about year in and year out. Come off season, is something going to change? Because what's happening now is not working. Okay? Despite what you think, Cashman, despite what you and your analytics geeks and the rest of the front office and the coaching staff think about your process and what you care about and building your teams and your rosters and making your moves and stuff like that, it's not working. Unless you're lying to us, which is what I think is going on. Because what I think is going on is that it is absolutely working for you. Because what you care about is just being good enough to make the playoffs, and then you gaslight the whole rest of society into thinking that the playoffs is a complete crapshoot. It's total luck of the draw on how the playoffs shake out. And that we're building just to get in. All we care about is getting into the playoffs. After that, it's not on us. It's not on the players. It's not on anything else. It's a total crapshoot. So they only secretly care about making the playoffs because that's how they justify their existence and their paychecks. Because it gives them enough profit. It keeps the stupid fans in the stands, and they can say stuff like, well, we made the playoffs 18 years in a row. How great is that? And that's not a true statistic. But that's what they care. That's all they care about. Let's just be good enough. Good enough to make the playoffs. Imagine what their playoffs would have been like this year if they won one more game and won the division and had a bye going into the playoffs instead of having to play an extra 3 games. They don't care about that. Just make the playoff. It doesn't matter. We can crawl in. That's all we care about. After that, it's a crapshoot. So our goal, our World Series, is just making the playoffs for Cashman and Hal and the front office gang. And they've convinced the stupid fans into being okay with that, I guess. I don't know. Or at least not being angry enough to not go to games, to stop pissing their money away on the team and lining the pockets of Cashman and Boone. There is no chance Cashman and Boone and the team are going to change anything as long as us stupid fans continue to buy the Yes Network and buy tickets to the game and buy their merch and show up. As long as we keep doing that, they don't give a crap. And that's what I think is going on because, again, Cashman comes out, and what does he do? He doesn't say, yeah, we have to change. Our team is not built for the playoffs. We need to change something so that we get more fundamentally sound and we change our approach come playoff time so that we are more competitive, or that we stop looking at regular season analytics and start looking at different sample sizes to see how we're going to structure our team to be competitive in the playoffs to win a World Series. They're not doing that. He didn't say that. That's what you hoped for. Take some accountability. Put your hand up one time and say, what we're doing ain't working. No, what does he do? Hey, all those ex-players like Jeter and A-Rod and John Schmaltzy and Paul O'Neill and Poppy, that fraud, and Pedro and all the other analysts out there and the commentators, all these ex-coaches that are analysts now, they're all wrong. They say we're just built for the regular season and we're not prepared for the playoffs. He said he goes, they don't know with the conversations behind closed doors and this and that. They don't have all the information. So they're putting out these wrong opinions. He said that, their opinions are wrong, which inherently doesn't make sense. An opinion is neither right nor wrong. Your opinion can be based off of wrong information, wrong facts, but it's still just an opinion. Neither right nor wrong. It's just what you think. But no, they're wrong. Everyone else is wrong. Cashman's the one who's right. Cashman and his fat, geeky, Poindexter, pocket protector, Corey Davids is out there on the analytics team without an ounce of athletic ability or experience whatsoever. They're always right. And we're always wrong. And the guys who have actually won World Series with rings on their fingers as players or coaches, they're all wrong. They don't know what they're talking about. Only Cashman and his little team of troll, fatso, tiny little stupid, geeky henchmen out there. Only they're right. And we're going to continue doing what we're doing because our process is good, he said. We have faith in our process. It works. And that is what tells me that he does not care about winning. His process is to have a good regular season team. And he doesn't give a shit about the World Series like he should. And Hal Steinbrenner needs to have a little backbone, some scruples, and do something about that. Because that is not the point of the team. It is from a money perspective, and the fans should be infuriated by that. And they should feel insulted and ashamed that their money is going to that guy and to that mentality. That the team you're rooting for doesn't even want to win a World Series, according to their front office. And he can lie and gaslight all he wants. You don't know, you don't understand. Our process is built for the World Series. It's not. Because if it was, you would have won a World Series already. It's been 15 years under this process, even longer if you think about it, because they started this analytics process before their 15-year drought. And then it started trickling in, and now it's become the norm. So don't give us that bullshit that you care about winning World Series, because if you did, you would have won. Because you have the money and you have the reputation to acquire the team and coaching staff to actually win World Series. You are not the Pirates. You are not the Marlins. You are not the Colorado Rockies. You have all the tools and money and reputation to be able to field a World Series winning team. But your process does not allow for that. So don't give us that bullshit anymore. And unfortunately for the Yankee fans out there, don't expect it next year. Don't expect a victory next year unless they win the lottery with that phantom crapshoot of the playoffs. That's the playoffs. Complete crapshoot. Maybe the other teams will all get injured. And they'll do the opposite of what the Dodgers did. The Dodgers got all their injuries, coincidentally, in the regular season, and then all their pitchers and top players were fresh for the playoffs. Probably did that on purpose. Not cheating. I don't hate the move. I hate the Dodgers. I don't hate the move. Because their team was ready to go to shove in these playoffs. And that's what they're doing right now. But maybe next year, every other team will get hurt and injured, or their pitchers will all get busted for gambling scandals like the Guardians. Not the Dodgers, because Ohtani had a patsy. And the Yankees will be able to slide into a World Series victory. And as much as I want the team to win, all that will do in the long term is justify another 20 years of this bullshit process of garbage. So, unfortunately, the one bad thing about this week was that we basically got told, don't expect any improvements whatsoever from the Yankees next season. So if I do that stream, games of the week stream during the Yankee season, expect a lot of angry streams. And you could probably expect many text messages and phone calls from Crazy Carol during those streams because she's going to be livid that they're going to do nothing to actually improve. And I'm going to be honest, with the exception of Volpe, who they're going to stick with till death, the team's skill is not terrible. There's a lot of holes still, but it's not terrible. If you work with them on the right things, on the right fundamentals, and tweaking things the right way, the best way, they absolutely could be a World Series competing team. But you're choosing to overlook that stuff for stuff that doesn't really matter. Nobody cares about the regular season. Does anybody remember Donovan McNabb, the quarterback for the Eagles back in the day? Top tier regular season quarterback. Had a bunch of records and accolades. Was a great elite level regular season quarterback. And then when the playoffs came, poopy. He never won a Super Bowl. I think he got into a Super Bowl once. Otherwise, usually it was one and done. And then there was several times where he got embarrassed by the Giants in the playoffs, which is funny because the Giants were never a better team than the Eagles when they embarrassed him in the playoffs like that. And he gets on, he does an interview one year after he's retired, trying to call out Eli Manning, saying he was a better quarterback than Eli Manning. And the analysts were saying, hey, he has 2 Super Bowl rings and 2 Super Bowl MVPs. What do you have? And McNabb goes on this tirade, this crash out about how he was a better regular season, and that's what it matters is over more games he was better, and Eli was only good in the playoffs. And the analysts kept coming back and being like, "What are you playing for if you're not trying to win a Super Bowl?" And it completely buried him. And it was an embarrassing, and he was crying the whole way. He fell on that sword the whole way. I'm a better regular season quarterback. Who gives a shit about the regular season, Cashman? I don't care if you're the best regular season team. Take it from Derek Jeter and Joe Torre and even A-Royd. If you don't win the World Series, you didn't win. You were losers that year. World Series was the goal every year. That's what it was. And if you didn't, it was a disappointing year. Yes, you could pick apart the positives there and build off of that for next year for your ultimate goal of winning a World Series. Nobody is going to come back to this 15, 16, however long it's going to be, 20-year period, it could be 50 years, and be like, well, at least the Yankees were the best regular season team. Nobody gives a crap about that, and they never will. And until Hal Steinbrenner figures that out and picks up on that, nothing's going to change because he's going to keep Cashman around, who's going to keep Boone around, who's going to keep the analytics geeks around, and they're all going to be sitting there Dutch ruddering each other over we had another winning season, over 500 season. No other team has ever done it. Nobody cares. Those are fake accolades. You're giving yourself participation trophies to justify the fact that you haven't won a World Series in 15 years. Do better. Figure it out. That's all I got to say about that. I wanted this to be a quick one, and I get off on these rants. And I got to get better at that. I understand. I'm working on it. But once Sargi gets going, it's tough to stop him. You can ask my friends. I'm sure it's not a great thing when they're having a conversation with me and I get off on one. Anyway, let's move on. Let's get into the good stuff. Finally, let's step into the cage.
Okay, let's run.
All right. Today's Into the Cage segment is proudly sponsored by Door Dudes door-to-door male strippers. Are you a geriatric woman who still has a lot of spice in you, but you're too old and decrepit to drive over to the local male special interest establishments to get your fix? Then call the Door Dudes today. Tony Rigatoni's Door Dudes are the most fit, agile, and flexible fellas on the market who will show up right to your door, retractable stripper pole in hand, and ready to rock your world right back to the depression. From hunks like Steven Sausage and Bobby Bootylicious to studs like Cheesesteak Charlie and Mikey the Meatball, the Door Dudes have anything your old horny heart can handle. So to get a hold of a hot Door Dude today, call 1-800-MAN-MEAT, and if you use the promo code UNCUTBRAJOL, you'll get 29% off your first Door Dudes experience. A little LPDS lore for you guys here, real quick. Back in the day, when the brain wasn't as high functioning, the maturity levels were lower, and there was a lot more Tony Rigatoni than there was Libretti out in the society, in the world. I used to tell people, one of the jobs I used to tell people I had was I was a door-to-door male stripper. And I would just knock on people's doors, and when they opened it, I would start moving and shaking, give them the pepperoni Tony. I don't do that anymore. There was a lot of other jobs I used to tell people. I told people I was one of the folders of hot air balloons for the National Hot Air Balloon Squad. I would fold that up, the balloons, and then take them over to the next events worldwide. But the big one was door to door. Door Dudes. Anyway, I'm sure when Spearhead makes it big, that'll get clipped. It's something someone will try to cancel me. Don't care. The Cage fact. We know the movie The Carpenter's Son has been made. The release date is officially 14 November, so a little less than a month away. And it's getting a lot of heat. Now, so there's sort of two Cage facts. One is really a Cage update. The Cage fact is that he's one of the producers of the movie, which makes now that changes the dynamic of the movie for me. And it should for you too, because Nic Cage is not just, you're not going to get just Nic Cage in his role. His influence and his stink is now going to be part of every aspect of the movie. He's marking his territory all over this movie now. So the way the actual movie turns out has Cage influence in it, not just as an actor in the movie. So it's no longer going to be a possible stinker of a movie with an incredible Cage performance. It's going to be a absolute wild card of a movie because of Nic Cage behind the scenes and in front of the camera. And at this point, I don't think you can even rate it as good or bad movie when it's all said and done. because Cage doesn't like. I'm just thinking about him as a producer. It's just gonna be wild. The whole thing is gonna be wild from start to finish. The biggest issue I see with this is that he's he's working with other people. His influence is on others as a producer. So he's limited. The movie's going to be limited to the capabilities of the other actors, which could create a stinker of a film. Because you cannot expect every actor in that movie to be Cage level, the best to ever do it. There can't be all the best to ever do it. There's only one, and it's him. So he can only do so much to get these people to actually, have any sort of Cage chops and capabilities to them. So he's a little bit hamstrung in that effect right there. So I am very curious how this movie is going to turn out. But the update is that it's getting so much hate. They're saying it's more criticism and pushback from the religious side, the Christians, Catholics, what have you, than they saw with like The Exorcism and other, Passion of the Christ, things like that, because it's a horror element. It's a horror version of Jesus' upbringing as he starts to realize his powers. There's a lot of moral ambiguity in how he's using them as he's figuring this out. As he's figuring out that he is the Son of God, so it's a dark element to it, and the super religious, the business end of the religion, the Christian side, is not happy about it because it's blasphemy, it's disrespectful to the religion, this and that, blah blah blah. Here's my problem with that very quickly. My problem is this movie is being talked about right now. And the Catholic business side, the Catholic Church, the Christians are loud pushing back against this. Okay? Does anybody know what else is happening? That's what I meant to say. Does anyone else what else is happening right now as well? The same timeline, the same window in the present day. Nigerians are genociding the Christians in their country. I think we're at 18,000 dead right now. And over the last, I forgot how many years, several decades, upwards of 200,000 Christians have been murdered in Nigeria as they're trying to wipe out the Christians in that country. And we're up at 20,000 Christians murdered, pulled out from their homes and murdered, piled up. There's pictures, there's videos out there. The people doing it are celebrating the I think might be the Muslim Brotherhood doing it. I don't exactly remember what terrorist organization is behind it all. But there's an active Christian genocide in the country of Nigeria going on at the same exact time. And I don't hear a damn peep about it from anybody. Now, maybe the Catholic Church and the Christians are talking about it on their end, but it's certainly not loud enough to make its way to the headline news like this movie review is. Now, again, I'll give the benefit of the doubt. The newspapers and the media, they're the ones who control what stories they talk about and tell us are important. So there could very well be the situation where the Christians are up in arms about this, the Catholic Church is the officials or whatever, and the media is being like, oh, well, let's just talk about this movie instead. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt of that. But at the end of the day, I am seeing, you could Google Christian outrage or whatever this timeline, and you're going to get more articles about the carpenter's son than you are about Christian people getting murdered in a different country. That's crazy to me. That's a big problem I have. And the Vatican better get, if they want anything done about it, they better get louder. They better out megaphone the media to force their hand in reporting on this story. Because that should not be the case. I love Nic Cage. And I love people talking about his movies, good or bad. No press is bad press when it comes to Nic Cage movies. But, come on, guys. This should not be a controversy. It's a Nic Cage movie. Okay? It's going to be entertaining at the very least. Even if the movie's not good, you're going to have a good time watching Nic Cage play Joseph. So let's move on from that. Focus on more important things. Okay? Cool your jets about the carpenter's son. All right? Everything's going to be fine. You have bigger problems to worry about right now. Anyway, 14 November. Right after Veterans Day, go check out the movie. I certainly will be. And that's the Cage fact. Moving on over to the Junction. Spin the logo up. I noticed something specific to the Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce relationship and engagement. I'm not going to talk much about that at all. Let's not get confused here. But this brought to my attention something here. Now, this is very early in their relationship to make any sort of. I certainly would have bet my retirement on the future of their relationship. But signs indicate that they're going to be fine. And I got in the lab, I started doing some research and some digging as to reasons why it could stand the test of time. Because historically speaking, if you're just looking surface level, two celebrities, two famous people, whether it's famous athlete or musician or actor, whatever, two celebrities in their own particular fields coming together, the vast majority of those relationships don't last. Okay? So on the surface, this looks like another one of those, right? But again, I started doing some digging. And I started realizing some things. And then I started realizing some more things. Okay? So you see the nuance here with the Taylor-Travis relationship is something that I see, and I'm now broadcasting out to the world as something that can be replicated with a very specific, particular type of non-celebrity person. Okay? So you have superficially two mega celebrities. But if you dig deeper, you'll see that Travis Kelce is not the celebrity of his team or of the NFL at all. Okay? He's playing second fiddle on his own team. The only reason why people are talking about him so much more often the last couple of years is because he started dating Taylor. Because of that relationship. But otherwise, the conversation is Patrick Mahomes. He's the guy. He is the, I don't want to say he's the Taylor Swift of the NFL, but he's the number one talked about football player right now, current player. So what you have here is you have a guy, Travis Kelce, who has experienced pressure and stress and high ops tempo situations being in the limelight of an NFL player. But he's also been in a position where all eyes are not on him. All cameras are not on him. All discussions are not on him. They're on Patrick Mahomes. And he has not done or said or shown anything to indicate that he has his ego can't handle that. There have been several other instances in the world where playing second fiddle on it. Look at Tyreek Hill. A perfect example. If you're a sports fan, if you're an NFL guy or gal, Tyreek Hill was on the Chiefs. Really good wide receiver. Top tier guy. But he was mad because he was not their number one guy, basically. It's an oversimplification a little bit there, but basically he wanted out. He wanted out of a team that is on the precipice of becoming a dynasty to that of the most recent New England Patriots dynasty with Tom Brady and friends. I'm not going to say they're there yet. I'm not going to say they're going to get there, but they have the makings of being that. And he wanted out, and he got out. He went to the Dolphins to be their number one receiver, to be their guy. He basically gave up at least one guaranteed Super Bowl. If you play long enough in the current state of the Chiefs, you're going to get at least one ring. That's how good they are. He gave that up because he was not getting enough of the limelight. Or enough, what he said was, I wasn't getting, enough catches. I wasn't, my talents are too good to be overshadowed this much. Because the team was loaded. They had other options at the time. So he left. Travis Kelce did not do that. And there was a point, he might have declined maybe a little bit over the last couple of years, but there was a point where he was, and he's still arguably the number one tight end in the league. But again, there has been no indications that his ego can't handle being the number two in the conversation. And being in a relationship with someone like Taylor Swift, you will always be number two. I don't think there is a male out there in existence right now who they would talk about more in that relationship dynamic than they would about Taylor. Maybe Tom Cruise, but I don't think he would ever be in a relationship with that because he's got to be number one. Tom Cruise, the alien, he's never lasted with somebody that was getting talked about or in the conversation up at that high level with him. He's got to be at the top. So he would never be with someone like Taylor right now. So that is the assumption. Like, you're basically, it's Taylor and the guy she's dating. And he can handle that because it's always been Patrick Mahomes and that tight end guy. And he's been able to thrive in that environment for so long. And that's when I started thinking, more celebrities need to find that dynamic. And more specifically, celebrity women. And I'm not talking about psychopaths like Katy Perry. Nope. You're a nut job. You're probably a criminal. I don't know if you guys ever read into much about Katy Perry besides the fact that she's a phony. But They actually had to create a law, a regulation in California to prevent what she was doing when it came to real estate. She was putting the squeeze on these people in this particular neighborhood, specifically nuns at their monastery, to sell their land so she can buy up all the land to create a compound for herself. So much so that she was driving some of these old nuns to mental institutions to get help and therapy because she was preying on them. So much so that they had to create a regulation and a law in California to not do XYZ, all the stuff she was doing to force these people out, to scare these people. She was like big bad wolfing these people out of their homes, out of their monastery, nuns. Okay? Nobody want you go hang out with what's his name? The Trudeau. Fidel Castro Jr. over there in Canada. You can go date. That's the psychos like that. They have to stay together, and then you could go put them in straitjackets and put them in. We're not talking about Katy Perry's, okay? But other celebrity type women, actresses, female sports athletes, musicians, what have you. If the way for a successful relationship is not to be with another celebrity. Okay, the Travis Kelce's of the world that are okay being second fiddle, they're not common. They're not. Okay? And if you notice all the number one guys, all the number one men in sports on their respective teams, the quarterbacks, the number one receivers, this and that, all the number one names in each team, they're not with famous women. These women might get more famous by being with them, but they're not with any women on their level. Their egos can't allow it, some of them. Some of them are just, childhood sweethearts, got it. That's great. I love that. Cool. But there's too few people seemingly like Travis Kelce who can handle being second fiddle when they're already a celebrity. Okay? So where do you go, ladies? Where do you go? I will tell you right now, because like I said, I ran the numbies, I did the math. Where you want to go to find an actual man to be in a forever relationship with, you want to go to the military and the veterans. More specifically, you want to go to bald Italian Air Force officer veterans who grew up in New Jersey and are combat tested. And here's why. And here's who I'm talking to. Okay? I'm putting this out in the ether so I'm trying to help you guys out. Because I know you're in your celebrity spheres, it's very tough for you to get actual good advice and recommendations and help from people. People are so afraid to be out of your sphere, they don't want to tell you the truth. They're just going to blow smoke up your ass and be yes men and women, and you can't live in those echo chambers. You know that. You're smarter than that. So I'm putting this out there for you to help you out, because nobody in your sphere is going to help you out the way we do it here at the LPDS. So I'm talking to Sydney Sweeney. Okay? I'm talking to Paige Sporanic, the super popular golf girl on Instagram and TikTok and whatever. I'm talking to the Heidi Goldsnigs. She's she's on Kill Tony, the comedy show on YouTube and Netflix. She puts out the drink. She has her own podcast. I'm talking to people like her. I'm talking to Rhea Ripley of the WWE and all the other single divas out there. Are they still called divas? I don't know. I'm talking to Sophie Cunningham, the basketball player I'm talking to basically every single female Olympic athlete, single women's national soccer team, all those types, all the single female musicians out there and actresses that have, a good head on their shoulders and not nut jobs like Katy Perry. That's who I'm talking to. I'm talking to you ladies. Okay? Because I know you're smart and you're great human beings and you deserve to be in those long-lasting relationships. So let me tell you why the veteran is the way to go. It's the most American thing you can do. Okay? I tried to say that with Taylor years ago, and I never sent that letter out like I wanted to write. I talked about that. I made the rookie mistake of never sending that letter out. But the most American thing you can do, and the best for your future within a relationship as a celebrity, as a famous person with all the lights and glitz on you, veteran. Air Force, intel officer, veteran, bald, Italian, svelte, ready to rock and roll. And here's why. Okay? We talked about the issues of the two famous people being together, the egos, the two number ones. It always clashes. Okay? It always clashes. Things happen. Well, if you're a number one guy, unfortunately, I'm not speaking for all number ones out there, not all number one men, but the temptation out there is crazy. And a lot of times these guys are not faithful. And you don't want to risk that, ladies. You deserve better than having to even worry about your man being unfaithful to you. Because as a number one leading man in whatever respective industry, the temptation is there. Okay? Don't have to worry about that with a veteran. When an Air Force intel officer veteran, promise you, it's not there. The loyalty will be to you always. Okay? The ego's not there. It's just not, for the most part. If you look now, if you go into the military industry itself, not an industrial complex, that's a different ball of wax. The number ones, the celebrities of the military, they're the dangerous ones. Okay, the SEALs who write books, all those types, all the I need, all the limelight types, they're a smaller subset of celebrities in your worlds, ladies. So the egos it's going to be tough. They're used to the limelight. So the clashing of egos is there. Now, a regular non-famous person also doesn't you don't have to worry about they're not going to be hungry for the limelight or the ego. But they're also not going to be able to handle all the eyes on and the pressure that comes with being in the sphere of a super celebrity like yourselves. Okay? You can't just get some regular old like finance degree, tech bro, crypto bro as Sydney Sweeney's boyfriend or a husband or whatever. They can't handle that. They never experienced that world before. And you have. You have calloused your hearts and minds to be able to handle the constant paparazzi pressure, the constant criticism and hate online for everything and anything you do. There's going to be half the world is going to be on your ass in a negative way. You're able to handle that. You're battle tested in that regard. Regular non-famous, the normal non-famous, they've never had to deal with that before. So the chance of them folding under the pressure, too high. You don't want to deal with that. Look what happened to Oppum in Saving Private Ryan. Translator, admin type guy. Never saw combat before. He gets put on this specialized team, and the first sign of combat and stress and chaos, and he's literally sitting in the fetal position, crying with all the bullets and ammo and the ability to help his wingmen, and he's listening to them die and crying, and he's folding under the pressure. You don't want that either, ladies. Okay? Regular, non-famous people can't handle that. But a veteran can. Okay? We have been in combat. Literal combat. So if you think we can't handle paparazzi and some online hate when we've dealt with, faulty aircraft and rockets being shot at you and mortars being fired and dealing with the pressure of this no-fail missions. If you fail, your guys are going to die. Living in squalor for years, working in dungeons, windowless dungeons, in treacherous conditions, battling on the beaches of Virginia, day in and day out. We've seen it all. We've handled it all. We've made it out. And we survived, and now we're thriving. So you think guys I was in battle with, like Steve McStiff and Pony Boy Grigio and Handsome Squidward Brandon, you think those guys are gonna get scared or nervous by some couple flashing bulbs and cameras and TMZ running at them with cameras? Yeah, sure, maybe initially they might get a little jolt of PTSD and try to bayonet the guys, but I promise you this, nothing's going to happen to you. They're going to protect the shit out of you. That's what's in our brains. That's what's ingrained in us. When chaos erupts, they're in protect your wingman mode. That's what we do. We'll put ourselves on the line so that you don't get hounded by paparazzi. So that you don't get TMZ following you into the ladies' bathroom at the airport just so you can go freshen up before a flight. We got your back. And we can handle it. We're not going to fold. We're not going to crash out. We're not going to create any sort of bad press for you. We're just going to sit there and calm, cool under pressure, protect you from that chaos. And if it's peace you want, and if you want that private time to actually be a normal human being, when 99% of your lives are in the limelight, when everybody all eyes on you all the time, and you just want to escape to a nice friends or family get-together without everybody following you to restaurants and this and that, guess who's got training in surveillance detection routes and preparing to lose tails so that paparazzi and people aren't following you, to create plans to operate in secrecy so that there's no information out there for the public to know where you're going to be and when, so that they can go bombard you on an island in at the Jersey Shore when you're just trying to go to a friend's wedding. We'll be able to go to that wedding and like it's nothing. It'll just be a couple of regular people enjoying a nice time out together. And not only is it going to be enjoyable and private, but I will send the paparazzi and the public and the fans, the crazy fans, on a wild goose chase thinking they are going to find you, and they're not even going to be in the same zip code as us. You want to get away for a little weekend, cabin in the woods situation? Nobody's going to know where we are except our friends and family. And don't worry, I will make sure I vet all our friends and family to 100% guarantee they're not going to flap their gills and leak out the vital information, the vital intel that's going to blow our cover. Okay? We are highly trained in that ability. I have been highly trained in the ability to prepare and plan and execute an operation successfully and in secrecy and with guaranteed success. I got you. You can turn your brains off. I know that's one of the things that women all love these days, or at least they say on the internet. I'm not saying I know what women want. I'm trying to take in what I see and hear. And I have seen video after anecdote, after story, after interview, after this, after that, where they're all saying, I just want to be able to turn my brain off and feel safe and comfortable with my significant other. Sydney Sweeney, I got you. Okay? You want to go wear jeans from whatever company you want and not have to feel like the pressure of criticism and everybody is on you all the time? I got you. Don't worry about it. Okay? You want to go get a reservation at this restaurant? Yeah, you might need to have your PR team call because I don't have the name recognition to secure the reservation. Hand up. Don't have that. You do. All they have to do is say, we need this place for this, whatever. We'll create a whole cover identity for us. Get this reservation. I'll take care of the rest. I'll get us there. I'll get you a nice outfit. Okay? All you have to do is sit and hang out at the house. Watch TV, read, do whatever it is you want to do. Go get a workout in. Okay? And when we're ready to go, there'll be an outfit there waiting for you. There'll be a convoy ready to rock and roll that includes our vehicle and decoy vehicles in case anyone is lurking outside our residence. And we're going to enjoy a nice normal evening, maybe on a date, maybe with some friends and family, small intimate gathering. No one will bother us ever. And not only can we handle all of that and handle the limelight and the pressure, we have built our careers and our existence off of handling all of that and not looking for any accolades or recognition in return. So you don't have to worry about me getting a taste of some camera time and thinking, no, now I have to be better than you. I have to get that attention and do this and that and all and the other thing. Okay? When you sign on the dotted line to join the military, you are also signing, acknowledging that you're going to do a whole bunch of shit. Crazy, wild, high stress, good shit for your country. Risky shit for your country. And there is a higher than average likelihood that you're going to come back from that world and nobody's going to bat an eyelash. There's not going to be a crowd waiting for you at the airport. They're not going to have a parade. There's not going to be a red carpet, a party thrown, a gala event, an award ceremony, nothing like that. You'll get your family. Sometimes it's just Sargy getting back to the Baltimore airport solo. And we're okay with that. Okay? We knew it going in. We got prepared for it while we were in. We got trained for it while we were in. And we experienced it already. And we haven't changed. So you don't have to worry about any ego problems that you would have with the celebrities. You don't have to worry about all the folding under the pressure from the non-celebrities in the regular, normal non-celebrity grouping of people. So again, I say to Sydney Sweeney, Paige Spiranek, Heidi Goldsnick, Rhea Ripley, Sophie Cunningham, all the other ladies I've missed out there. Maybe Sabrina Carpenter, I don't know. I don't know her that well. If you're looking for love, lasting love, and you want a comforting, safe haven to thrive in that love, to create a family and a circle of love without having to deal with any of the other bullshit that you have to deal with as a celebrity and a famous person of any kind, whether you're an Instagram celebrity, whether you're a music celebrity, whether you're in Hollywood, whether you're an athlete, anything. This is where you come, okay? You come to the VFW. You come to the American Legion. You find yourself a nice Italian from Jersey, Air Force intel officer veteran with combat experience, wherewithal, entrepreneurial skills, can handle the pressure, and is ready and waiting to be there for you without ever caring whatsoever about the recognition for them. Okay? You want the Taylor Swift love? This is where you come and get it. Okay? It's not out on the football field with some other wide receiver or some running back or whatever. I'm sure they're all great guys, but you want better than that. You want different from that. Okay? You want a nice, beautiful, comfortable, non-chaotic relationship. This is how you're going to get it right here. And that's all I got to say about that. Before we go, very quickly, the big three, the three pillars to staying strong and being a better, happier, kinder, healthier, less stressed, more genuine human being, and be able to spread that positivity, goodness to all those around you and throughout the land. Number one, exercise every day. Do something every day to improve your fitness physically, mentally, or emotionally. Number two, the hardest one to do, don't be a shitty person. Be a kind person. Don't be negative. Get out of the negativity. When the opportunity arises to be negative or shitty or anything other than kind and positive, take the LPDS step back, detach from those negative emotions, and omit yourself from the situation altogether. That way you're minimizing the negativity in your world and the world around you, and now you have the internal capacity to go focus on more positive, productive things with your lives, like exercising every day. Number three, the most important one, be genuinely thankful and grateful for all the good you have in your lives. And you could do this each and every day by actively taking the time to think about one good thing that happened to you in the last 24 hours, or one good thing that's going on in your life right now, and what your life would be like if that thing never happened, or that good thing was not there. And that will immediately put you in the state of gratitude. And when you're in that state of gratitude, it is a lot easier for you to step away from the negativity, to allow yourself the capacity for more positive, productive things in your lives, like exercising. And if you do these three things a little bit each and every day, repetition, 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 consistency, a little bit each and every day, and then a little bit more, I promise you, you'll be a better, happier, kinder, healthier, less stressed, more genuine human being, be able to spread that positivity and goodness to all those around you and throughout the land. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Put your notifications on. Tell your friends and enemies. Tell them to hit the hotline, 202-670-1114. Call the hotline. Leave a voicemail. It could be a question. It could be a comedy bit. It could be a troll job, a joke, advice, a discussion topic you want to hear more about. Maybe you found a celebrity to set up with this veteran over here and you want to talk about that, hit the hotline. Let me know. 202-670-1114. Thank you guys again. I love you all. Stay strong.